Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to The Main Thing. This is your new 9-minute podcast. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. My guest today is Dr. Jack Byrd. He was one of my first mentors, and he's one of the wisest people I know. He's an educator and an innovator. Jack is a professor of industrial engineering at West Virginia University, and he's the founder of the Center for Entrepreneurial Studies and Development based in Morgantown, West Virginia. Jack has consulted with hundreds of private companies, corporations, startups, and other organizations. His program has produced 150 senior corporate leaders, all of whom he has advised and mentored. Over the next 9 minutes, you'll discover what makes Jack Byrd so wise. Good morning, Jack. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, let's help our audience understand a bit about how you and I are connected. Jack, you were my professor of engineering at West Virginia University many years ago, and you were one of my first mentors. So, Jack, by my calculation, we've known each other for 35 years, and of course, during my college studies, a lot more frequently in touch than we have been. But 35 years goes by fast, doesn't it?
It sure does. I'll often be walking from one classroom building to another and see somebody from the back and yell out their name and they don't respond. And I wonder why. And then I realize when I see them from the front, that person graduated 10 years ago.
I could see how that would happen. Jack, how many students have you taught and advised in your career? Rough numbers.
Our industrial engineering program has close to 4,000 graduates, and I've taught all but 300 of them.
Oh, wow.
And then I've taught more students at WVU than any other professor in the history of the university.
That is fabulous, and what an honor. And the way you approach it is just beautiful, I can say from firsthand experience. Jack, on a related note, how many of those students whose lives you've touched have you assisted in helping them get their first job?
Probably every one of them.
Now, Jack, I remember from back in the day that you were quite a softball player. Is that true?
I was probably a better softball organizer than I was a player. It was fun doing that. And the thing I particularly enjoyed about it was the team that I was associated with had people from all walks of life on it. So we had construction workers, we had professional employees, we had business owners, all on the same team.
Well, that was great community for you, a community of friendships outside of your job.
It really was. Just as an interesting point about that, one of those players is now on the 3 county commissioners in Montague County, and the other is on our school board.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. You were in the company of future leaders.
Yes, I was.
And were you a pitcher?
Yes, I was.
Okay, I thought so. Jack, before we get further along into the main topic, I wanted to just ask you, what's one thing about you that most folks don't know that might be a little surprising or unique?
Down under the surface, I'm a very shy person. I don't recall ever going to a party.
Wow.
I think that helps me work with students because I'm not one to talk about myself. I really like to engage them and get to know them better. And people that have worked for me for years don't even know a lot about my own personal background.
I know you've taken personality assessments and that sort of thing. So do you measure up to be pretty introverted on those scales?
Oh, yes.
Jack, thanks for sharing a bit about your personal life outside of your work and your career. Let's get right down to it. What's the main thing you've learned so far at this point in your lifetime?
Skip, the main thing I've learned so far is captured in guidance I give our seniors the last class.
Okay.
And I'd like to read that guidance to you if I could.
Absolutely. Please do.
At the end of your career, it's not the money you made or the power you had or the awards you were given. It's the memories you had of those moments when you did that something special for someone who was in need, and the memories that you have, that others have of you, and how you help them with your kind words of encouragement and you're believing in them.
Wow, that is beautiful, and it's so true. The part that sticks out to me, and I've experienced elements of this too, is just the way you make others feel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Skip, there was something that I retired this past year, and over the summer, and still very much involved with university. In fact, I spent the entire morning, working with, continue working in university types of activities. But my students put together a memory book, and it involves alumni from the very first year I taught to our current students. And I got one response. It was a very short response. I'd like to read it to you if I could.
By all means. Yes, please.
You believed in me when no one else did. You inspired me when no one else could. You listened when I needed advice. You gave me hope when it was lost. You made me refuse to give up.
Wow. That is so powerful.
I'm probably a better mentor today when I'm 74, almost 75 years old than I was when I was 35. And I don't know that it's because I'm smarter or have more wisdom today. I'm just different in terms of role with that student. There's an age generational thing there.
Sure.
They view me different because of the generational thing. I'm a grandparent in many cases in terms of, I'm the age of their grandparents. And so,
right.
There was a respect level that's probably different than there was when I was 35. So I don't know if I'm smarter now. I think they may take that advice I give them more seriously today than they did then.
That's a neat observation. What is the risk for someone who does not have that wisdom or those life lessons that you presented to us this morning?
One thing that we're very fortunate at WVU is that most of the students I teach are blue-collar students, or if not blue-collar students, they come from blue-collar families.
Okay.
So they don't come with a huge ego. And occasionally we'll get somebody that comes and thinks they're God's gift to the university and all that. They don't make it very long with that attitude. I mean, the other kids will put them in their place. And if they carry that attitude after they graduate, they will flame out very quickly. People don't like that.
Jack, we'll close with this question. I want to ask you, what's the next big thing you desire to learn or master in your life?
I'm working on a proposal now that I want to develop an online class that teaches young people from all walks of life and all universities and everything else the soft skills that employers are desperately wanting but not finding in their educational system. I've taught those. I've taught that for a long period of time. I know how to teach that.
Yes.
I know how to evaluate it. I know the assignments to give. I know the coaching that goes with it. And in the time I have left, I really wanted to get that launched. I've taught 150 corporate leaders, and I asked them the thing that they're proudest of in their career. And often the thing that I hear is the mentoring that they've done. And they actually have numbers of how many people that work for them that they mentored that are now corporate leaders in their own right.
Wow. Jack, I want to thank you for helping me out by coming on the Main Thing podcast today and sharing the wisdom that you shared with us today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, same here, Skip.
Wow, 9 minutes is up. That goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. I hope you're left wanting more. Sync up with us again next time on The Main Thing for 9 more minutes of wisdom.